What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Mask of the Year 2020, the channel's 50,000 subscriber special which tasks you guys to send in your finest Payday 2 mask creations, all for the glory of creating the best mask of the year. Oh, and if that wasn't enough for you, there are real Payday prizes at stake for those in the top 10. To be clear, deciding on this list was incredibly difficult. Fortunately, I didn't have to make this decision alone. Joining me on the judging panel for today's video were Scrumpo in the Discord, who's actually behind all of the art on this channel, and the one and only Red Archer Live. Troy's an overkill partner with an esteemed sense for a good mask. Just look at these beauties. In all seriousness, do check out his channel if you haven't already. It's got a keen focus on Payday news, and I'm truly grateful to him for lending a hand with the competition. That out of the way, just a little note on how scoring worked. In previous Mask of the Years, I basically looked through submissions and decided a shortlist from there, totally subjectively and without much peer review. This year, we instead went with a scoring system which put the highest value on the mask's aesthetic, but also allowed masks which were particularly creative or unique to stand out amongst the vast crowd. That didn't make things easy though. If your mask didn't make it, either in the top 10 or as an honourable mention, that doesn't mean I didn't love it. In fact, we plan to commemorate every mask which was properly submitted in an archive on the Discord, and there will be chances for you to win prizes again in future competitions. So thank you so much to everyone who sent one in. That out of the way, it's time to find the top 10 masks of 2020. First up, there's an additional set of prizes I want to announce. Those of you who went out of your way to create unique Payday lore for your creation deserve extra recognition for the effort you put in. You guys know I'm a sucker for lore. I didn't think it was really fair for descriptions to impact overall scores tremendously, but do want to reward you for fleshing out your creations. If you haven't already snagged one, I'll be giving all 20 lore masters a copy of the Almir toy mask, as well as access to the Mask of the Year winner role in the Discord. Big congratulations to all of you, your creations were brilliant, and we may be hearing from you again later in the video. But for now, it's time for number 10. Conveniently, we're staying on a lore theme for the 10th spot. This is Nephilim by Level the Shodo. The story of Payday crossing over with Mask of the Year, what a day. The base mask is the Mega Watcher, coupled with the plastic hood material, sacred pattern, and finally black and white for the colours. This combination resulted in an exceptionally unique and creative setup which scored very highly in those categories due to it being a wonderful interpretation of the shadowy characters central to the Payday lore. Not to mention, it's just a pretty gorgeous looking mask. As you can see, we're starting off really strong, so to make it into the top 10, it was essential that your creation scored highly amongst all three judges. For example, in 9th place, we have Kento Soul by Soap, one of quite a few Oriental or specifically Jiro and Kento focused masks which really stood out. We also loved many of the Amiona concepts, such as Dark Geisha by Floating Walrus, as well as Spirit Fox designs like the Death of a Geisha. Apparently, there was a geisha theme going on. Battle Killer's Sign of Annihilation variant also caught my eye. In fact, I'd say Spirit Fox was one of the most consistently well-designed masks in the competition, but in the end, it was the concept of Kento's Soul which really worked and won out. Using the admittedly amazing Great Immortal mask in a more nuanced fashion than you'll often see, combining with the baby material for a surprisingly less edgy finish, and the death pattern poetically with the character Shi, or death in Japanese, painted on its forehead. This was an incredible idea, pulled off really well, and Soap actually developed Kento's character in a few short sentences, more than Overkill did in about 3 years. I didn't adore the use of black for both colours, as that's a trap I often fall into when mask making, but that wasn't enough to keep Kento's Soul out of the top 10. In at number 8 we have Vaporwave, a surprising take on Duke's mask by Tony the Tony. It uses Duke Begins instead of Mega Duke to create a more subtle effect and a classier looking mask overall, which was absolutely the correct decision. The material was the ever popular sunset, but the pattern was checkered out, a rarely used option which just works so well here. The colours are pink and matted purple, which really complete the look and keep the aesthetic consistent. There were a lot of duality style masks submitted, many were excellent. The Reaper by Kid ND and Darkness in Paradise by Lord West stood out to me in particular, but Vaporwave edges out both by using a colour palette that is really appealing and took us by surprise. A very deserving winner of 8th place. Mask number 7 is Pyro's Boombox mask, which lands above the previous 3 simply due to how appealing it is front to back. Making a faceless mask have character and personality is no mean feat. The pumpkin grin is the perfect pattern for doing that, and the combination of the neon material with magenta and black gives it the perfect colour scheme. I would have liked it to have come with a catchy title to match that personality, but even without it, those unique bright looks carried it into 7th. For number 6, we're taking a look at another mega mask design. Unsurprisingly, there are a lot of these, making it a somewhat difficult category to stand out in. Some of my favourites include the Pizza Master's Mega Heister's Greed, Hades' Glare by Habits, and Mr. Gunshot's Mega Rust. But number 6 here, Luck Into My Eyes by Dima Russ, used a surprising mask to create an amazing effect. The Mega Robber Fly is a rarely seen mask, but hopefully not for long. By using the Diablada pattern, we get these piercing focal points on the mask, which wonderfully pulsate with the Mega effect. Sakura is a beautiful material, and turquoise and black make up the colour pair. Not only is this a mask I was barely aware of before seeing Demon's submission, the entire setup is perfectly unique and yet still looks amazing. This was a real hidden gem which should hint at just how good the top 5 are to beat this. In 5th place, it's Geriatic's Geriatic mask. Maybe not the most unique naming, but certainly a unique take on Sangres. With the release of Mega Sangres taking place during this competition, it surprised me that it's a Sangres Begins which makes it on the list. But just like Duke, simplicity sometimes works best. I do want to give a massive shout out to the one and only Cloud Dasher for his Mega Sangres, which I am a big fan of as well, but it was so difficult to get customizations of Mega Sangres to bleed through the crazy effects that mask already has, which is why I loved Geriatics. Whether or not you see a red-eyed Sans here, it's hard to deny this is a clean design. The material is sinister and the pattern is probably my favourite of all time, the Cracker, which creates this negative space and works so well with the bone white colour of the mask. The chosen colours are black and then red, which fit nicely in the eye sockets to give this mask even more personality. Amazing work, what a brilliantly executed design. Your 4th place winner fit the criteria for this competition perfectly. It's a mask that did something a bit different. This is Vaporhead by Athena, the perfect combination of a mask which just looks great, whilst also capturing a totally unique idea and pulling it off perfectly. It's made using the Alienware mask, bismuth material, the jagged stripes pattern, and dark purple with white as the colours of choice. The Alienware mask has always been a popular one. I'd be remiss not to also mention Alien Tech by RJ and Invader Vim by Aname, which were both comparable in terms of design quality. But what's unique about Vaporhead here is how a story concept has been brought in to elevate it to the next level. Just to show you how this submission looked when I got it by email, you can tell why it caught my eye immediately. Taking the Solo Jazz Cup design, which weirdly pervades all of our memories somehow, and tying that into not only a narrative, but an effective homage mask, this screams originality that is so impressive. I love the cheery colour scheme, and I love this mask. In 3rd place, it's Nothing Behind the Eyes by Talks to Ducks. This is an example of an idea that really works. There were so many excellent Hotline Miami inspired masks submitted this year, from the classic Golden Hour setup by Emma Tape Recorder to Nusp's Mask of Broken Heroes. But this rendition of Rasmus was genius. For fans of the game, remember Rasmus represents Jacket's hostility and sociopathic tendencies. So coupling it with the error material, which shows predominantly in the eyes, is such a cool concept. Like he's put his anger on standby. The pattern used here is the vertical split, which allows you to choose 2 identical colours, here dark grey, to complete the look. There's so much to love about this mask. You can even mess around with the colours if you wanted a different shade of owl, maybe a coral red to emulate his appearance in the hallucinations. There's one small visual issue holding back this mask in how the pattern fades out at the edges, meaning you get a slightly abrupt return to the era material, but even so, the overall effect is so good you'll barely notice. Up next, the runner-up and second place in the largest ever Payday 2 mask competition is Boba Fett by Chill Cookie Dough. Now to be clear, there were 3 Bounty Hunter submissions, Bence Guruk's version of Boba and The Mandalorian by Jan Dobos. These were great ideas and you all deserve credit, but they were so similar I had to go on who sent in the idea first. That happened to be Chill Cookie Dough, who also sent in my favourite rendition, making particular use of the Mega Vlad armour. The material here is jade, the pattern is of course Bounty Hunter, and the colours are red and black. The main thing keeping this mask, and other reference masks from hitting number 1, is that they somewhat relied on patterns that were created by Overkill for the same referential effect, dropping some marks for originality. Either way, this one was so well executed it still earned this spot on the list. So, we're on the cusp of finding the Mask of the Year for 2020. I hope I've done justice to every single submission, but I do want to mention a few that really stood out and narrowly missed a place on this list. First up, we have my favourite character homage mask in the competition. Obviously Boba Fett made it to number 2, but both Xenomite's Deity of War and Dran's Joker stood out impressively. I love Xeno's use of the Anonymous mask to channel God of War's Kratos, even though those two things shouldn't really mesh. And Dran used the Maui mask to pull off the most convincing Joker I think I've seen in Payday 2. Hats off to both of them, I seriously recommend trying out their designs. Another category I want to add and desperately wish I had prize support for are the masks that made me laugh. Carrot managed to make this horrifying monstrosity, Mr. Wombat's Mega Kawaii is hilariously terrifying and both deserve a mention. Also, Heiston, he's adorable. He's also a very funny concept and would certainly get Hoxton's seal of approval. Believe it or not, this guy was in my personal top 3, so maybe it's a good thing we had other judges to keep my strange taste under control, but still he gave me a good laugh, which I appreciate hugely. I also thought Scarface, in inverted commas, by Falco Punch was a really funny idea, combining an iconic mask design from a core heister with the Nomi Gusta mask to somewhat emulate the Tony Montana smirk. And who could forget Sonic the Hedgehog by Isa? I certainly won't be anytime soon. Finally, there were a few outstanding masks that deserve an honourable mention for missing out on this list by about a decimal point. They were the Soviet Bear by CV3, the Mega Scarface by Michael Bustamante, the Top Noobs rendition of the Crossbreed, and the Winter Knight by Mr. Shadow. Also, the Bloody Killer by Nexus the Bomb really appealed to my style, getting 4 points for visuals, and the Fat Detective definitely deserves a mention not only for their submission of the awesome looking Skullcracker, but also as someone who sent in loads of fun masks to take a look at, so thank you so much to all of you. But sadly, there can only be one winner. Fortunately, one mask did stand above the others and scored 1/3 of a point more than the competition. This mask was The Evil Within by Mephistophel. Another mask connoisseur who even helped out with other submissions, this was a well-deserved victory for a mask unlike any other. I wonder if it's just because very few people bothered to join the Dead by Daylight community group to earn this mask, but the Unborn is a brilliant canvas to express an intense mask idea on. This creation consists of the Unborn, alongside the bandage's material, death pattern, with black and light grey as the colours of choice. This creates a haunting impression of a mummified creature bursting out of its sarcophagus with death written all over it. For the sheer terrifying realism and completely individual style, this mask scored almost perfect marks for creativity and originality across the board. Whilst it isn't the prettiest mask you'll ever see, the concept is just so good, it really was unrivaled in this competition. Also, this may be the best use of black as a colour on a mask I've ever seen. Normally it's overused, but here it ties the whole design together and makes this mask look that much more alive. This, to me and the judges, was your winner of Mask of the Year 2020. Congratulations to all the winners announced in this video. I'll be handling the prize support myself over the next few days, so take a look at the comments and video description to learn more about how you can claim what you've won. And again, an incredible job by everyone who submitted. You really pushed this competition hard, and that's what led to this immensely competitive top 10. Of course, I'm certain some of you will disagree with the list, and that is what I like to hear. If you wanted to see another mask in the #1 spot, let the creator know in the comments. A full archive of the masks in this competition will be available soon after this video goes up, and we'll work to keep mask sharing as a theme in the Discord. If you feel like you can do better, there'll be another opportunity in the not so distant future. I love making videos like this one and giving back to the community where I can. Thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope you've enjoyed. Happy New Year to everyone, and I'll see you very soon for more story time.